Are you ready to perform at your highest potential? Welcome to the Performance Matters podcast from GP Strategies, your talent transformation partner. In each episode, we'll interview industry experts and explore best practices and innovative insights to help your organization improve performance.
With respect to DE&I, it's like, let's just access and leverage the essential goodness of things like the internet, where you have 24/7 access. But you, as that learning architect, you're carefully curating, right? You're curating the resources to support someone, and when they have that intrinsic curiosity, because it's at, like you said, the moment of need, they can help start owning and pushing forward this learning themselves, right?
Yes, absolutely that. And I think it is about tapping into people's curiosity, people's desire to make that change. And I, I think this kind of leads us on to the next point that we need to cover,
Okay.
because it's about engaging all employees. Because if you want your training or your leader activities to be openly received, you really, really need to invest the effort in engaging all of your employees up front. Because let's be honest, your workforce needs to be ready before any changes or expectations can be implemented. So, we all know that without information or preparation, we have the tendency to react negatively to something new. We may
Mm-hmm.
be a little
Yep.
bit hostile, or at the very least, a little suspicious of change, particularly with something as emotive as DEI. So rather than, acclaiming the broad virtues of DEI, we need to make sure that we're getting people on side by tailoring the message to each person or each job function. Make it personal, make it relevant. For example, I work very closely with the sales management team, and I know that they will engage so much more if they know that it's going to bring about more or better serviced client experiences.
Okay, so I'll just play a little devil's advocate here, though, and that
Mhm.
would be, let's say, despite your best efforts, your design there, what about those folks that aren't fully on board with the DEI learning journey here? So I'm guessing all those positive messages won't be, won't be received by a suspicious or fearful audience, right?
I completely agree with you, and I would say that's okay. Do you know what? Don't be afraid of those who aren't fully on board with your initiatives, because their concerns, their questions, they may prompt something that you've
Hmm.
missed, or you could have communicated a little bit more effectively. So embrace it. Take the time to hear from your skeptical groups. Have the brave conversation. You may want to consider sharing specific or relatable advice around how they can positively support the program. But equally, it could be about having the discussion to remove some of the fear around the activities.
Hmm.
People really worry, especially with DEI efforts, about getting it wrong. That's a real concern. And if you don't acknowledge it, if you don't shine that spotlight and help people understand and move beyond it, then this reality is going to create ambivalence across that wider organization.
Hmm. What you're saying there, in my mind, is almost like you're taking the thorn out of the paw, because
Yes.
one of the biggest fears I think a lot of people have are, what if I am suspicious, what if I'm that skeptic, and can I be my authentic self? That was one of the things I really picked up from my conversations with Angie. Was it's about, even for someone like me, a middle-aged white guy, quite frankly, that DEI is there for me too, right? It's about
Yes.
bringing your authentic self to the workplace, or and when I could see if a leader's like, hey, I don't know if you're all on board on this, but that's okay too, because let's go through this process and let's be real. And I feel like that alone reduces a lot of the skepticism versus having that thinly veiled, everything's fine. If you're not on board, there's a problem. I mean, that's been the biggest. I would say feeling I've taken away from my conversation with you, Nick, and also with Angie with the GP DEI practice is it's about being real. And I think there's a
Yes.
lot of hunger for that of let's get away from all this academic theory and let's just go in your world, in your industry, what does DE&I mean, right? I mean, what does it mean on a daily basis and how does it help you have your best day at work?
The Performance Matters podcast is brought to you by GP Strategies. Together, we can create a world where business excellence makes possibilities achievable. You can subscribe to the show anywhere you get podcasts or listen on our website at gpstrategies.com.